Hello, everybody. Welcome to Comedically Correct. I am Andrew Holiday, and with me, as always, is
Selena.
yes, and we're gonna nail that one day. Anyway, as you guys know, my hat is Colorado Rockies because they're my favorite team. They're by no means the best at anything, but they're my favorite for no reason whatsoever. If anybody was wondering.
We're a lot of people's favorite podcast in that same.
But,
Not the
yeah,
best, but still the favorite.
yeah, we're my mom's favorite by far.
Does your
Cause
mom
she,
listen?
yeah, twice usually. Once
Why?
because she's in the room,
Uh-huh.
and then once online, I'm sure.
That's nice. I can never listen
Alexa,
to the
stop.
podcast that I'm on.
What?
I can never listen to podcasts that I'm on.
I listen to every episode before I post it,
Yeah.
just
Well,
in
I mean,
case.
during the editing thing, yeah, I listen to it, but it makes me deeply uncomfortable.
It it does too. Like I'm trying to make another show where I just make like a weekend update style fake news thing, and I realize how much I hate my voice, and I need to get over that to ever release an episode. Because I keep on writing
I,
jokes. I'm like, oh, that's a good joke. People are gonna like that, and then I'm like, I'm not releasing that to the public. So yeah,
I wonder
it's
what it is, this phenomena of people that like I don't know a lot of people that like the sound of their own voice. Like most people I know hate to hear it. I guess it's because it sounds different in our heads than it is
yeah.
like outside.
It's reverberating off of our skull or inside there to where like I guess we're hearing it in a different way. And then when you hear
Yeah.
yourself recording, you're like, that's me? I sound like a
Gross.
dipshit. Yeah. So I feel you on that. So the Pentagon is investigating UFOs. And this has been a long time coming.
I'm pretty excited.
I'm pretty excited too. So YouTube has gotten rid of all conspiracy theories, and it bothers me because I don't know if UFOs are like the same as believing in QAnon.
I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so because there's like real evidence, but I don't think there's like any real evidence that QAnon, like any of their stuff has ever been true.
Well, like what the secret with like those conspiracy theories is they'll take stuff that's like for sure true. Like they'll be like, this guy was in this place at this time, but like, and then they'll conflate it with like something that makes it seem more guilty than it is. It's like
Well,
you
they're a
could,
lot like fortune tellers where they just like take the context clues and they just say something really vague that it's like, well, yeah, that could be true.
yeah, that's a link. Well,
Yeah.
here's one. I can make up a conspiracy about myself. I was in the Denver metro area the same night John Benet Ramsey was murdered.
It was you.
Coincidence? I mean, like I think I was like 8 at the time, but still, like you can. That's all you have to
It's like
do.
saying like you've never seen me and Britney Spears in the same room.
That is a good point.
I could be her.
I do notice your schedule has freed up a lot since the Free Britney movement.
Yeah, yeah, me and Britney, free as hell.
So Selena might be Britney Spears. Tweet it, and then I may have murdered John Benet Ramsey.
And then just do hashtag where we go one, we go all, and trust the plan.
And trust the process for our Philadelphia fans. Um, but yeah, like I actually really enjoyed that about like YouTube was going down those like conspiracy theory rabbit holes because sometimes they were just fun, even though you're like, this is insane. But the other
Yeah.
thing
Well, I
is,
mean, conspiracy theories are fun. They're a lot of times they're funny because they're so ridiculous and outlandish, but then the part that's not fun is the people that believe in those things and then like commit violence against other people who don't believe.
yeah, like so like the pizza thing was like Pizzagate. It's like that's kind of crazy. And then like a guy actually like held up a pizza shop with a gun, and then you're like, okay, well this is not funny anymore.
No, this is not fun anymore.
It's like why do you crazy people have to ruin our fun? Like it's fun talking about flat earthers and stuff like that, and then you get kids like not learning science at all,
Yeah.
like legitimately not getting taught science, and then taught like just anything that the government says is a lie. And don't get me wrong, I think that like a healthy skepticism of like what
Right.
things that you're told is good.
Well, and Part of the reason they're unhappy is because they understand that their lives are not ideal and that there is like a massive amount of corruption that they have no control over. And they're not wrong, but they're wrong
Hmm.
about the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, but just because it's like a conspiracy, like the idea that it's conspiracy, like people just assume it's crazy when there have been conspiracies before that were like crazy sounding conspiracy theories, and then they release these like papers and you're like, oh shit, that was true.
Yeah.
um like the MK Ultra program was real.
Right.
um the Tuskegee experiments were real. um the CIA selling coke was real.
Right.
So like a healthy skepticism and having those conspiracies, like sometimes the craziest person is right just every now and then, and that's scary.
Sometimes, but it's not like, I think that's, I don't know.
No,
That doesn't bode well for actual fact.
yeah, like just because
Whenever
they're a
people
crazy.
start going on about QAnon stuff, I just start mentioning B613.
What's that?
It is a fictional group of assassins from the TV show Scandal.
Oh,
It's
I'm
like a secret service type of thing.
Shonda Rhimes' personal secret murder
Yeah.
force. All
So I
right.
just start talking about that and see how far I can get them to believe that until I'm like, oh yeah, and Olivia Pope, and then they're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
That's where
that
I
is
lose
funny.
them.
I for a long time I still do this sometimes. I used to go on like flat earther Facebook pages and stuff like that and just say like insane stuff, and just like I would try to say the most insane thing, and people would be like liking my comment and being like, yeah, that's right. And so like it's once you're so far down the rabbit hole, you have no idea which way is up, to where like everything kind of sounds logical.
Yeah, well, and you can make, I mean, like we were saying earlier, you can kind of make anything sound like it makes sense. Hold on, for some reason, like my dogs are barking, but they don't sound like they're in the backyard. They sound like they have escaped. Hold on.
All right. I shall entertain the masses while you are gone. We can probably cut this, but who knows? Just gonna. Cool. All right, and we're back. Sorry about that. So anyway, yeah, but like I think that there's like legitimate questions, like Building
Yeah,
7, TWA Flight 800, um, UFOs. Like there's
missing
obviously
Malaysian
some.
flight 370.
Yeah, like there's obviously something going on there. I have no idea about the Malaysian flight, but yeah, like there's obviously like something going on there, and I think it's okay to ask. And I think it's weird when like you blanket all things conspiracy. Like there's no such thing as like the perfect amount of censorship, to where like sometimes like there's always going to be things that are going to important that get lost. Like you tell YouTube no violent videos. Well, there were a lot of violent videos that were uploaded to YouTube as evidence, because the people uploading them like didn't have another safe
Yeah,
place to put them, and then YouTube deletes them, which is essentially getting rid of evidence of actual crimes being committed, like war crimes and stuff like that.
yeah.
So I don't know, like there's censorship where you're like, well, you're protecting children, you're protecting like kids shouldn't maybe watch certain things, like certain levels of violence, certain
Right.
profanity, certain sexual content, and I agree with that. But then, and that's kind of like the only censorship that I really agree with. Like everything else, I think that like us as adults
Well,
should be
no,
smart
because I
enough.
think you need to, like, if there's just a massive channel that's spreading nothing but lies, I think that needs to be like gotten rid of.
Well, my problem with that though is when you get rid of those channels, like you're giving them credibility in their own world. Like, do you know how
Yeah,
much
but I mean, but the problem is they have no credibility. Like nothing they're
they don't
saying
have
is actually.
credibility until you make a big deal out of them? Alex Jones, believe it or not, got more credibility with his followers when he got banned from YouTube. Like people would like literally comment, like they're like, I
Yeah,
didn't
but
think.
it's like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I just don't know how people get that far, like just that far gone away from what is actually reality.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is though, Alex Jones, he doesn't. Everything he says isn't crazy. It's like he inches into crazy. When you start watching him, like I'm sure that there's like episodes where
I
there's
mean,
very
isn't
dramatic
he
shifts.
literally under litigation right now because
No,
he had signed
he
the
actually pled
Sandy Hook
guilty.
shooting?
He actually, yeah, no, he actually had to pay out. So
Good.
what Alex Jones did was he was encouraging his audience to harass the parents of the Sandy Hook children, the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting, because he thought that they were, or he actually said that he didn't think this. He was doing this for views, but he was spreading the lies that they were
See,
fake.
that's the problem too. Is
He
that
knew he was lying.
and most of the people who spread that kind of stuff know that they're lying, but they still
Yes.
do it because they know it's getting them attention and then they want to be like, "Oh, I'm not responsible."
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
getting
you are.
attention, views, they're selling their products. Yeah.
You are
No,
responsible.
I agree with that, and I think it's horrible, and I think that they should be held liable for those things, like the way that Alex Jones was. But when you deplatform them, you're just making them stronger. Alex Jones' website exploded after that. People are still watching his videos. People are still avid fans, and although he lost a little bit of his reach, what he gained in fanatics, I think, was well worth the loss of reach that he had.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know, like Alex, like I know people that are insane. Like they'll get mad when you like criticize them at all. Like he's beyond criticism with his own fans, which is never a place that's safe with anybody.
No. Well,
So
because nobody should be beyond criticism. That's the other thing too. It's like, well, they're like, I don't know. It's just this whole thing where like, oh, you can't stand it when people criticize Joe Biden. It's like, no, I don't actually care about Joe Biden.
yeah, I criticize Joe Biden.
I
I've
do like I criticize him, but I don't think you should criticize him for things that don't exist. Like for
yeah,
things that he has no control over. Like when people blame him for the price of gas, he's not really in control of that.
yeah. I even defended Trump when I was like, I don't think he's really like responsible for that. Like when the gas prices were going up under Trump, I was like, yeah, that's not him.
No.
That's I was like, that's kind of like reaching.
People like have completely lost the idea of nuance.
Hmm.
Like not everybody's right all the time, not everybody's wrong all the time, and it's okay to call somebody out when they're wrong and
Yeah,
to give somebody credit when they're right.
yeah. Like it's perfectly acceptable to vote for, say, like blank politician, but then be like, hey, I didn't like it when he did this. Like I'm anti this. Like you weighed the options and voted for him doesn't mean like you think they're perfect. I
Right.
don't. I remember when like I took a picture with Beto O'Rourke and everybody was mad at me and they're like, this, and I was like, he's running for president. I got to take a picture with a presidential candidate. Like I don't know.
You're like, I'm doing this for views. This
I'm
is for
doing this for
fame.
likes, guys. Like it or don't. But yeah,
I know. I got upset at my mom because she posted a picture with I don't think it was Greg Abbott. I think it was like Ken Paxton or some horrible Texas Republican. I was like, Mom, that guy sucks. How could you take a picture? She was like, Look, it's our governor. And I was like, I don't give a shit. He sucks. I would spit in that man's face.
I would 100% take a picture with the governor and then like be like, I would be critical with him. I was like, hey, I met the governor. I'm not a fan of this, and this, but me and the governor, what's up? I don't know.
But we're
Like,
getting beers later.
yeah. Well, like I don't know. Like maybe because I think it's like a status symbol or something. Like somebody's successful. Like when you look at their wall and you see pictures of them with like famous people and influential people, and you're like, oh, this guy knew the president. I don't know. Like
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just don't feel that way about like political figures or celebrities or anything.
well, yeah, but like it's also like if they end up doing something like a huge historical thing, they put them in a history book, and you met them. Like I don't know, it's just something that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, there's a certain level of
Like if
prestige
I
to
had a
it.
chance to like, I know this is something impossible, and like I'm not pro Hitler in any way, but if I had a chance to take a picture with Hitler, and then I had a picture of like me and Hitler, like before he was like this was when he was Times Person of the Year. This is when I took a picture with him. This was at that Olympics, like
I mean,
you
I think
know.
there are presidents that have pictures with Hitler and then they were like and like had them in their halls and stuff, and then they were like, oh.
That didn't age well. Well, like, yeah, like, well, the same thing with like Jeffrey Epstein. Like, how many pictures have surfaced of Jeffrey Epstein with like random celebrities?
Right, but it's not like he was like a real celebrity outside of
No,
just being a rich man.
yeah, he's famous for not killing himself. There's a conspiracy I think that holds a little bit of water.
Oh yeah, I think somebody definitely killed him.
Yeah, and I don't think it was Jeffrey Epstein.
No.
Elaine Maxwell. Okay, so
We'll see what happens to her.
but real fast on UFOs before we move on to that.
UFOs.
Yes.
They are real.
If they're real, like, or UFOs, I guess, unidentified flying object or whatever. If aliens are real and they've come to this planet, I just want you guys to know all my opinions are just made up. Whatever you guys think is right. I don't care.
You want the aliens to know that?
Yeah, that's just what I want the aliens to know.
Yeah.
Viewers think what you want, but I know who's in charge.
It's the aliens.
Yeah. Okay, and what was the second one? The second one was a story you found. You want to explain?
Which one?
The cannibal.
The
Cannibal.
cannibal one?
Yes.
Okay, so basically this guy got like caught and put in prison and accused of cannibalism because a head rolled out of the back of his vehicle.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So if you're going to eat people, there's ways to do it and there's ways not to do it. Now, I don't know what the right way is to eat people, but it seems like just texting about it is not the way to do it, because how many people have gotten in trouble in our country lately for like just sending text messages that they want to eat somebody?
Oh yeah. What's his name? The actor.
Army Hammer.
Army Hammer.
Yeah. He lost his entire career because he was like texting a girl saying that he wanted to like murder her and eat her. And here's the thing.
Well, and then he was like, "This is consensual," and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, because there are some people. Look, if that is your dream for your life, is to one day be eaten, I think you should be able to have that dream. Like, I think you should be able to donate your body to like a cannibal society where they eat you.
So you think it'd be okay if like the person died of like, if it was consensual and the person just died of natural causes?
Or I mean, if the murder was consensual.
The murder. Okay, so a consensual murder. It's like, I want to die, you should help me. That's what you'd be okay with that.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. Here's why I wouldn't be okay with it. Because I think children would taste better, and I don't think they can consent. They're not old. They're not at the age of consent yet.
I mean, but that's still part of the consent thing. Like, we know that children cannot consent. We know that.
Yeah, but I would want to eat a baby.
People cannot consent.
All right, before you cancel me, this is a joke. I wouldn't eat a baby. I would eat a corgi. I've been thinking about that lately. Have you seen corgi?
We talked about that last week too.
Yeah.
Your desire to eat a corgi.
Eat a corgi. Yeah. I was thinking about getting a Tibetan Mastiff and a corgi, and
the corgi to the Mastiff.
If they don't get along, you eat the corgi. You can't eat the Mastiff. Like, the Mastiff is in charge. He does what he wants.
Right.
Have you seen those Tibetan Mastiffs?
Not like in person. I've seen pictures of them, I guess.
Are you trying to fix that pin right now?
No. Okay. I'm not trying to fix it. I was messing with the tube, and the like gel part that keeps it like the gel part that keeps it in the back end of the tube just like came out. I guess because there was no suction or resistance or something. So now there's just ink all over my desk. And I'm trying to discreetly clean it up, but I guess it's not very discreet.
Like, I was wondering what you were doing.
I mean, I'm listening. I'm just like panic shit. Like, it's on the computer.
But
it's black, so I guess it's okay. But
yeah, nah, like, it's not gonna show up.
No.
But yeah, so this man was allegedly wandering around drunkenly in St. Petersburg and murdered a man, which they then set on fire. And like, I mean, like murder then set on fire, that's not that bad. Like, I feel like being set on fire is probably one of the worst ways to go.
Yeah, because it just takes a long time and it's painful.
Yeah, but like I like how he confesses, but sort of like acts like, like it's not a big
It's
deal.
not a
He's
big
like,
deal.
it's
Yeah.
like I nibbled and just took a taste.
Yeah.
And and then so like the guy's like, so later on the interrogator asked him, he's like, are you ready to eat a human again? And then instead of saying like hell no, of course not, he's like, do you have some?
I mean, he just seems like a prankster.
Yeah.
Like a harmless murdering prankster. There's.
Yeah, like he was murdering him as a goof. It's not like he had any malcontent. It was a goof.
It was an accident. It was like a funny joke. You know what? He murdered him so that people could talk about the event on podcasts. That's why. He did it for the greater good.
Yeah.
He did it for your entertainment. Are you not entertained?
But here's the other thing, like what I notice about like a lot of criminals is they get caught for like crimes afterwards. Like if he wasn't in that crash, he would have never been caught. So
Yeah.
so
That's how they
so
caught Son of Sam.
oh yeah. What's his face?
Parking tickets.
Yeah, pay your parking tickets if you're gonna murder people.
Yeah, don't commit other crimes while you're
Yeah.
committing a crime spree
You
of
need
your
to be
own.
on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. That's our
Um
advice to killers out there.
yeah, like wasn't that like also how they caught Bundy?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, like didn't he get like a random like ticket and then like or he got pulled over? I may be misremembering that, but like I do know that there's quite a few that like and this guy like he drunkenly got in a car crash, like a DUI after murdering somebody and eating their body. This is just sloppy. It's pure sloppy.
Yeah, I mean,
As
if you're gonna
sloppy
do
as
that, leave the
Selena's
body
desk
at
right now.
home.
Yeah, leave the body at home or where you found it. It's free range. And still watching Selena clean up her desk.
Sorry. It's I mean, it's just made. I don't have any tissues in here. I just have paper. Okay, I'll stop.
No, don't. I mean,
It's
like,
bothering me. Is this
I mean,
racist?
no, not not at
Okay.
this point.
Let me empty the tube on my face. If I
Yeah,
get canceled, maybe I'll get more views. I'll
that
do an Alex Jones.
that seems to be working for people.
Yeah, it
Like
really
you,
does. They
like you.
complain about getting canceled and then they end up getting bigger than they've ever been.
Well,
So were you really canceled or is this whole thing like you're
it,
faking it?
it's kind of like there's certain things that you get canceled for. Like I think Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey, they're never gonna work again. Like those guys are like legit canceled.
Yeah, and I don't think that they should.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Like anytime like you mess with kids or like you mess with like the stuff that they did, yeah, I don't think that there's like a level of forgiveness for. But that wasn't always the case. Like there's definitely a cancel culture that's good. I think we talked about this before. Like Victor Salva and Roman Polanski, those are monsters versus I don't know. Like
Somebody who maybe tweeted something bad
yeah,
15 years ago.
like a bad tweet from like 10 years ago or because something that somebody made a point with was like the R word wasn't that bad very long ago. Like everybody kind of used it a long time ago, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like something that's only been like in the past few years. So it's kind of weird, like how long before you decide something is not allowed to be used, and that you give the public time to not use it anymore.
Yeah.
Versus,
But it's also like, okay, if you know that the R word is not okay to use anymore, don't double down and be like, how come I can't say it? I want to say it. Just be like, okay, I'm sorry.
well, yeah, but like that's not,
I don't want to hurt people.
yeah. And I
Like,
do
okay,
think,
so I created new flyers for some of the shows that we have,
hmm
and I used pictures from the from the tornado from 1970.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Lubbock tornado 1970. It's just like, fucked up cars and buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
And I posted them on Reddit, and somebody was like, I don't see the need to use a picture of a tragedy for a comedy show. And then somebody else was like, this just shows you that all the people at this show will be like anti-cancel culture people that just want to be edgy and aren't really funny anymore. That wasn't my intent. I was just trying to find something that was emblematic of Lubbock. And Lubbock's not really famous for a lot of things. It's like Buddy Holly, tornadoes.
I didn't know about
And I
Buddy
think we
Holly.
were like, yeah, he was from here.
No shit.
Yeah. Like those are the only things that we've been nationally recognized for, is for Buddy Holly, for tornadoes, and then like really low vaccination rates. But I'm not going to put that on a flyer. That's not like cool and fun.
Okay.
I just thought it was a neat picture because it's like a picture from the 70s. I thought it looked cool, and people were upset by it. And I'm like, well, I see your point, but I also think you're wrong.
Yeah.
So then I was just like, you know what? I would just put this picture on there to show that Lubbock's grown, that nothing can stop us from enjoying ourselves, and that we always bounce back.
And the pictures from the 70s.
Come to the comedy show.
Yeah.
Like
learn to take a joke. Yeah. Shut up.
What? It wasn't even like I didn't do it like jokingly. I literally just thought it was a cool picture.
Well, like even if it like there's like a point where it's okay to make certain jokes. Like there's like tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Right.
And there's some people that just think like tragedy can't be funny whatsoever. But the thing is, like something that's like just about like the human condition is being able to laugh at yourself and being able to laugh at hard times.
Right.
That's literally what you're doing, is making light of a heavy situation.
That's how a lot of us cope.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's kind of the comedian's job is to do that. So yeah, like modern day philosophers or philosophers. Yeah, maybe like that's kind of like a pretentious way of saying it, but you're saying we're modern day court gestures. Like yeah, like the kings and shit like that. They're all supposed to talk about serious stuff. We're just supposed to be the funny, and making funny gallows humor is
right.
a
It's
huge
like,
part
I'm
of comedy.
not running for fucking mayor of Lubbock and being like, hey guys, remember this picture wasn't that horrible? Check it out. I'm running for mayor. Like,
yeah,
I'm going to tell jokes to crowds of tens of people. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Nah. So but like it also pisses me off like how like those indignant people like can act like they're right. They're like generally speaking you're right, but you're wrong here. Right? Like using tragedy, like someone's tragedy to make funny and make jokes. Yeah, that can be seen as brass and stuff like that. But like
but the thing is, I wasn't even making a joke about it. It's literally just a picture for a flyer because there's nothing else. Like, we don't, like, Lubbock doesn't have, like, an amazing skyline. We don't have, like, any interesting national landmarks that people would give a shit about or recognize.
yeah, I can't think of
But
anything
people
from Lubbock.
would recognize these pictures from the tornado because it was such a big deal. And then, like, I have some pictures of, like, the haboob that hit a few years ago.
A haboob?
But those were in color, and I wanted a black and white. A haboob is like a massive, I guess, wind. Google haboob. We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up. Haboob. Crap, I just remembered something. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I'm one of those people that like does think that like everything can be there's no one thing that can't be made fun of or like comedy. Like obviously you got to be careful, and like there's a spectrum of like how funny it is versus how fucked up it is.
Right, but I just think like if you're just hurting people,
yeah,
then you're just a bad person. And it's lazy comedy because it's like, yeah, that's easy to do. Of course everybody loves it. It's the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of an example because like yeah, that's something I said before is like I hate lazy jokes. Like anybody can just say something that's like controversial, and people are like, ugh. I was like, he's edgy.
People will have a reaction to it.
Like, but if somebody like comes up with like a smart, intelligent joke on that same subject matter, like it's not going to be like, oh, I don't think you should make fun of that. It's, I don't think that that was funny. I think that that was just lazy
Yeah,
and a little uncalled for.
I would agree.
Yeah. Like one time, and it was this weird goth girl, and it was like one of those things where like I think it's like I'm Catholic, but I think it's completely okay to make fun of and criticize the Catholic Church. I 100% think it's okay. The same way that I think everything is like allowed to be criticized, but like just the way that this girl said it to me was just super jarring, which was I just mentioned that I was Catholic, and it was like part of the conversation. I was like, I'm Catholic, and then she's like, oh, and she's like, were you raped by your priest? Like as if it was like a joke, and I was like, what the
Jesus,
fuck? And like I really didn't know what to say. I was like, damn. I probably have
it's
to
a bit much.
I probably have to bleep out the R word, but yeah. Um yeah. She said that and I was like, yeah, all right, all right. I was like, no.
Why? Wait, why would you have to bleep out the R word?
Because for some reason it gets you censored. It gets you on YouTube.
Oh, huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's another
But
type
what
of
if you're
censorship I don't
doing?
like.
Yeah, because what if you're doing like a true crime thing and you're saying somebody was raped?
Yeah. Or, you were telling like a personal story or you were just
Yeah.
giving the news. Yeah. Yeah, no. There's quite a bit
You're
of
supposed to say sexually assaulted.
yeah, and I think that that's like something that like if you like you also have to put like trigger warnings and stuff like that too,
Yeah.
which so yeah. But like I don't know. I just and it's not that I have a problem with like those type of jokes in general because I've actually heard jokes where they were like smart, insightful, and like good ideas, and then like I was just like, oh, that was rude, and then she defended herself. I was like, I just like, and I didn't say anything to her. I was just like, all right, that was weird, and then she's like, you can't say that didn't happen. And I was like, I didn't. I'm not saying you're
I'm not
wrong. I'm just
saying that.
saying
Yeah.
like it'd be like if I like met a Muslim person and it was like, don't blow us up, and I'm like, that's shitty. That'd be really shitty
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Like that has nothing to do with like that person or that thing. But yeah,
Right. You're just making a generalization about somebody.
yeah. So and I don't know, like I
Or
think
for
that
like, and it's not just making a like, because I can make generalizations about lesbians because I'm part of the group. But if you're not part of the group, you can't really. It's not fair for you to make generalizations. It's kind of like
yeah.
you're
Well,
not
like
treating people like individuals, I guess.
see, that's like a thing where like generalizing something I think is like a good way to like get comedy because like you obviously because what they I'm trying to think like Lewis Black was like saying he's like I don't want to be right about something, I want to be funny about something, so he generalizes stuff like all the time and you can get
Yeah.
comedy from that.
Well, yeah,
But
but when that, I'm just saying specifically
yeah,
when that girl was talking to you,
yeah,
she wasn't doing a set. She was just having a conversation.
yeah, like even if somebody was like doing a set and it was just like said that, I'd be like, you should try harder on your jokes. Like yeah, I mean like
Yeah.
I wasn't,
Well, it's not really a hot take to say
yeah,
that priests molest children.
yeah, like so that was my only problem with it was like, that it was like lazy and kind of jarring and a little
Yeah.
bit at me, not like, but that was my problem with it, not so much the subject matter in general.
Right.
But yeah,
You weren't offended on behalf of the Catholic Church.
yeah, it was more of like, all right, but yeah, but also like there's those situations where like you feel like you don't know what to do though, like if like somebody's saying something like really fucked up and you don't know whether or not you need to say something or not, like have you ever had it where like somebody was saying something like fucked up but it wasn't a part of like your group and like you don't want to be like, I don't want to be offended for somebody else, but like what they're saying is really shitty and like you don't know whether or not you should let somebody else step up that's like a part of that group or you need to say something.
I mean,
It gets like one of those.
if there's not a person that's a part of that group that's getting that's like saying something about it, I usually will.
Well, yeah,
Like
but
at work at for Dia de los Muertos, they set
mhm.
up like an altar downstairs, and they put like a picture of Selena. There was a picture of Walter Mercado, um, a
A
picture of
different
some
Selena.
other like historical. Yes, different Selena. I'm not dead yet. Um, a different historical. I might be when the aliens come.
Not me
A
though.
different historical like Mexican figure, and then they had pictures of like the characters from Coco on there, and then they had like a little cat solar powered clock that just had like the skull candy like design on it, and then they had all this plastic food,
Hmm.
and it bothered me. And I don't even celebrate Dia de los Muertos. Like that's not even something that we were brought up doing. But it was like this is like a bastardization of something that's part of my culture.
Oh yeah,
Because that'd be like if I was setting up a Veterans Day memorial and I put like Forrest Gump up there.
that would be weird. I'll give you that.
I'm like, that's insulting to people that really believe in this. Because this is something that's supposed to honor the dead. It's like real to people. And you're just turning around and because the thing that bothered me, I think, the most was that like I know they put that up there to be politically correct, to pretend that they're being inclusive, but they didn't even bother asking any actual Mexicans how they should do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that bothers me too. Like when people are grandstanding, but like also kind of like not not coming close.
No. So I'm like,
Like
I'm
there's
sure they like, but I mean, they were only doing it just to say like, oh yeah, we did something for the Mexicans, aren't we so inclusive? And it's like you did it the wrong way. That'd be like if during Black History Month you were like, you know what, we're gonna order fried chicken for all the staff because we're honoring Black History Month. Like you did it in the most racist way possible.
yeah. We like I'll tell you so.
It's like that episode of The Office where Michael like pretends to be an ex-convict or whatever.
Yeah, and then he does like the most stereotypical like
Yes.
yeah
How can you not see that? How are you doing this?
yeah. There was a so so okay. So sometimes I think some things can be taken out of context, and then sometimes like it's like what were you thinking? Like how did that make it past like so many heads? Okay, so like sometimes things are taken out of context. Like there was this guy, he had I want to say he had a bunch of students over for a meal,
Uh-huh.
and he had a bunch of cotton decorations that they were upset about. And he said like, "Oh, I got those cotton like they had nothing to do with the people I was having over. I just like those cotton decorations." And maybe
Yeah.
he was like telling the truth. Like maybe there wasn't anything there. But then there was like another guy who had a dinner with like all black students, and then he intentionally because he like black people like chicken, so he decided to get chicken. And I was like, that's something that
That's a
somebody
little,
should
yeah.
somebody should have been like,
I
hey,
mean, I would like if I was doing like a party or something, I might order chicken, fried chicken. But that's because I love fried chicken and I
yeah,
think everybody loves it. And just certain people are stigmatized for it, but it's delicious.
yeah, like Dave Chappelle, he's like, I didn't know that I was like uh
Genetically
genetically
predisposed to liking
predisposed.
chicken.
He's like, now when I eat it in public, they're like, oh, he loves it, and he's like,
Look at him, just like it
look,
said in the encyclopedia.
yeah. So yeah, that's kind of unfortunate, but look, so sometimes I think things get taken out of context, and sometimes I'm like if that's an accident, that's on you still.
Yeah, you still have to be like, my bad.
Yeah, but one time a lady yelled at me because I said no bueno to her, and she's like, I'm not Mexican. I was like, yeah, it's not. Neither of us have to be for me to say that.
A lot of people speak Spanish.
Yeah. Well, like even then, like
I think Spanish is like one of the most widely spoken languages in the world,
yeah, like if somebody says merci to me, I was like, do I look French?
right?
Like what the fuck? What the fuck is your problem? Like somebody's like hasta la vista. I was like, I am not Austrian. I think you piece of shit.
Right?
Like
If I'm at dinner and somebody orders spaghetti, I'm not like, hey, we speak English around here. Like it's
yeah,
not a big deal.
you fucking Italian piece of shit.
When I go in the aisle that says pasta, I don't get mad and say that should say fucking noodles.
But yeah, like I
Since
don't
when
know.
is Market Street politically correct?
Yeah, fuck this. It's like I'm shopping at Walmart where all my family works.
Does a
But
lot
yeah,
of your
like
family really work at Walmart?
a bunch of them do.
Dang.
And it's like the evil
Is that why you
corporate.
can't say anything bad about them?
I can say whatever I want bad about whoever I want. All right, when we talk about shitty coworkers, I'll tell you about some of my years at Walmart. But yeah, that just surprised me. It's something that just caught me off guard. Was she's like, I'm not Mexican, and then like because she was like a little darker complected, she thought I was assuming that she was Mexican, I guess. But I don't know. Like it was just a weird situation. It was like one of those like weird things where like I apologized before I really realized what was going on. I was like, I'm sorry, and then I was like, wait, what? It was like I couldn't go
Be
back
upset.
and
I'm
like
not trying to get you deported. Like, if
yeah
this is not a trick, I'm not saying no bueno to you, so you respond to me in Spanish, and then I'm like, I get her.
yeah.
Like, that's
It's like we
not
got
how
her,
this works.
got him.
This is just a casual.
Yeah,
How
like
many white girls have to say chica before they stop getting offended by the use of Spanish?
yeah. Yeah, and so I don't know. It was but it was also one of those things where I wanted to have an argument with her, but by the time I realized I wanted to have an argument, the situation was already over. And you can't just go back and be like, "Hey, remember earlier?"
Another thing.
Another thing. Because I apologized and walked away, and then I was like, "Wait, I don't want that to be the end of the situation."
Wait, no, she can't win. She's stupid.
Because like I'm like I know that if I don't say anything right now, this is gonna keep me up at night. So I need to go fucking say something to her. But
Right. Well,
it is
maybe she'll
stupid.
listen to this. She'll listen to this podcast and she'll realize the error of her ways and stop
Yeah.
being so anti-Mexican.
Yeah. Take that
I
random
think it
lady at
like I love when people think that I'm Mexican and start speaking Spanish to me, and then I have to apologize and be like, sorry, no, I don't speak Spanish.
yeah, it's like I am Mexican. I don't speak Spanish. We're both Mexican. We don't speak Spanish.
No,
No bueno.
that is no
Muy
bueno.
muy poquito.
That's a good button on that.
Yeah. Poor.
What's the next? What's the next story?
Next story is your story again. 14-year-old stabs his boyfriend. Was it?
Yes.
All right.
So they were drinking and they started to get into an argument and they got physical. And it's hard to say because they're the only two people in the situation and one of them's dead. So we're not really like you can't really be sure of what happened exactly. And so the kid said he went back inside, the 14-year-old, to get a knife and then came back outside and like killed his boyfriend. And
See, I,
he didn't try to fight with the police or anything when they got there. They like arrested him. But my issue with that is that a 14-year-old has an 18-year-old boyfriend who's like letting him drink
yeah.
when neither of them are supposed to be drinking technically. Like I don't think it's wrong for children to drink if they're like in a safe supervised situation.
Yeah, like if they're not drinking too much, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, because when I was little, my mom would give me like, you remember those little cups, or I guess they still have them, the little cups that you like use to rinse your mouth after you're done brushing
Yeah.
your teeth or whatever in the bathroom. She would give me those little cups full of like wine cooler. And I would just like drink it and run around the house and go get like, she would refill me if I came back.
Yeah.
But it
And
wasn't like, I wasn't getting drunk. It was just like, this is 3% alcohol.
yeah, and it gets your kids relaxed a little bit. They go to sleep easy. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm 100% for getting kids drunk.
We are pro children drinking.
I am pro alcohol in minors. Yes. No, like I think the first time that I got my sister drunk, she was like I think 16 or 17. She might have been 18. I don't remember. But yeah, and it was
Drink this with the cap on.
dork.
Sorry. I was like, oh, this is on video. That's embarrassing. But your sister.
Oh yeah, no, and it was good to know because like first off, like she's not getting drunk with her friends. She kind of is in a safe environment, so she can kind of figure out herself under alcohol. Because I think that learning
Yeah.
who you are when you're drunk
It's
is
important.
important. Yeah.
And learning how much you can drink safely is important.
Yeah, because like other
And it's
different people have different limits.
yeah. Well, and if you're doing it in a social situation with a bunch of other teenagers, the whole thing is like, how much can you drink? Like, drink more
Yeah.
and more and more. But you can still, like, you can enjoy yourself and drink a moderate amount and still enjoy the effects of alcohol and not just get, like, slammed to the point where you, like, don't even, like, where you black out.
Yeah.
I'm tired of people demonizing alcohol.
Yeah.
It's
No.
great.
Don't get me wrong. It's literally putting poison in your body, so much poison that your brain starts acting weird. Your brain is reacting to poison.
Yeah, but, like, all animals do it. If they find
Yes.
something that makes them, like, alters their mental state, they do it. People do
Yeah.
it all the time. That's why people meditate. That's why people exercise. That's why people do drugs, obviously. Like, don't
Yeah.
dolphins bite pufferfish to get high?
Yeah. Dolphins and whales both do that. Or
That sounds like a good
dolphins
time.
and orca whales both do that. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
bite on a pufferfish. Fuck it. They don't test for that at work.
Yeah. And you can lick a frog is another one that they do.
I don't
So yeah.
do I can't do drugs anymore. I have to find alternate.
They test you at work? How often do they test you?
They haven't tested me since I started working there, but there's still that threat that they might,
Ah,
and I have to have health insurance, so we'll see.
Alright.
We do want to move to Colorado, so maybe I can get a job up there that they won't care if I smoke weed.
that's dope. That's where I'm
I do
moving.
miss it.
Yeah. I'm excited about
You
I'm,
froze.
what?
You froze.
Oh, I froze? Hold on one sec.
Yes. You said that's dope, and then you froze.
All right, if you guys can still hear me, I meant to turn on my blue on my hotspot and I forgot.
I can hear you and see you again, and you're moving, but for a minute there you were frozen. Thought I lost you.
One sec. I am going to go to my hotspot. All right. My internet connection should be a lot better now. But yeah. My sister was the best person ever. Okay, so my sister, what I found out was she's a crying drunk. She's one of those girls that just starts
Aw.
crying. So
Okay.
so I drove her home and my plan was to get her inside the house before anybody noticed that she was drunk, but she was just fucking wailing, crying about like nothing. And I listened to her for 20 minutes and I recorded it on my phone,
Did
which
you send it to
she
her?
uh I sent her clips, but no, like it was like a good 20-25 minutes of her just crying and like just saying random stupid shit. It was like for a long time. I think that she went into my phone and deleted it because I can't find that video anymore.
Oh man.
Yeah. But yeah, she was just crying about like just random stuff. And yeah, she
That's
she
funny.
uh she was
I
not
always
too happy about
I
that.
always think about recording my parents when they're drunk, but it wouldn't be very fun.
Why? Are they
Cuz
emotionally abusive?
no, they're not emotionally. I mean, they just get emotional, they start crying. Like I remember one time I went to Midland. Why did I
Hmm.
go there? Why did I go to Midland? Why does anybody go to Midland? That's a
Oh,
question for a
for
different day.
drugs?
That's another
Um,
show. I mean, there's probably better drugs other places.
yeah, but
Maybe
it's
not
cheap
cheaper
and
drugs,
yeah, cheap and relatively available.
I
Like
guess.
if
Anyways,
you
I
get caught
wasn't.
by the cops, like they're just trying to figure out who your new dealer is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just trying to crack down on the dispensing of drugs. But I was
Nah.
in Midland, and I was like, we had gone to we'd gone to eat. My mom was kind of drunk, and we were fine. Like I thought we were fine. We were having fun. But I was like, let me go ahead and drive, mom, because you're a little tipsy right now, and I feel fine. I'm gonna drive, and it's just down the street. So we're driving down the street. It's like a 5 minute car ride, maybe less than that. And then like we're listening to music, everything is fine. And then all of a sudden she's like, I'm so sorry, I wasn't a good mother. And I was like, I'm not doing this right now. First of all, it's not true. Second of all, what?
It's just out of
Where did that
nowhere.
come from? Just out of nowhere. And like we were fine. We were like laughing when we got into the car because I couldn't figure out how to turn the damn thing on. Because she has one of those fancy cars where it's like a push button It's like an Audi something. I don't know. My car is old. Like my car's from 2000 and I don't know, 13 or something. Like you
Yeah.
still put the key in the ignition to start it. And I was like, I don't know how to work this goddamn space car. We were laughing not 5 minutes before. And then she was like apologizing for a problem that doesn't exist. And I was like, this is not fun for me anymore.
No more alcohol.
No, no more alcohol for you.
See, my problem
I
with
mean, I do know people like that just like, they'll be fine, they'll be drinking, whatever, it's cool. But I'm like, because I'm not that kind of drunk. Like, I don't get like, I mean, I'll cry if like, I'll cry a little bit easier if I'm drunk and like I'm watching a sad movie. I'll cry a little bit easier than I would if I was sober. But I don't just like make things up in my head to cry about.
it's like, I'm so sorry. The other day you were talking and I interrupted you and I feel bad. And then they just
You
start
just start
crying and you're
crying.
like, and it's like that bad nasally cry where you have no idea what they're freaking saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they start burping while they cry and it smells like whatever they were drinking.
Whatever they're drinking plus the hot dogs they ate earlier that day, and you're like, this is
Jesus.
nasty.
And then you like turn away and like make a face and they're like, "You're judging me." I'm like, "No, you just burped in my face. It's gross." That was rude.
Yeah. Jenny's was funny, but yeah, like I've been to her quite a few where I was like, dude, it's like, can I just drive you home? Like, can we just end this now?
Yeah. Like we're
My
not having fun anymore. If you're not having fun when you're drinking, you shouldn't be drinking.
agreed. I don't know. My biggest problem with drinking is the Amazon is an app in your back pocket and it's with you wherever you are.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of times where I was like, I don't need that sword. I already have a sword. And then I'm like, crap, I spent $250 on a sword
Now I have
and
to buy two of
$97.
them.
Yeah.
Double hands. Double fisted swords.
It's like, well, now I have way more than two swords now. One time I spent over
I had no
$120.
idea you were a sword guy.
Yeah.
I
No,
can't support it.
well, it's something
I'm
that,
anti-sword.
see, I'm pro sword because then you can meet the person. Like, you can't mass kill people with a sword. That's something that I
That is
think.
true. I guess I would prefer that like we had open carry swords versus open carry guns.
Yeah, like if a guy rolls
That's
into a
fair.
crowd with a claymore, I feel like I have a shot.
Right?
Yeah. Like he has a claymore. Like even if I have like nothing, I feel like I have like
How
a
far
puncher.
can he throw that thing? Like I can run.
Yeah, like I dodge a claymore. I like he wouldn't come close to me, and then it's just me and him. I have a chance. But
With the sword.
yeah, and then I could have my own sword. People wouldn't care if he's open carrying a sword. I'm open carrying a sword. You know, once they outlawed
Why
swords,
not?
only
You have a right to defend yourself with a sword.
exactly. But
That's
yeah,
the ninja way.
hmm I do have a samurai sword, by the way.
I keep seeing like the little Deadpool in the corner
hmm
and his eye is like kind of closed. I'm just waiting for him to blink. I'm like freaking out.
He does blink. He opens his eyes and everything. I just have to turn him off because he's super annoying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty spot on for Deadpool.
yeah.
But
I
yeah.
I,
I mean,
I
I
like
think
it.
the worst thing that I do when I'm drunk, like the most embarrassing thing I guess is like cuz I start drinking at like midnight or so, or sometimes earlier if I'm out. But and then I'll drink until I go to sleep at like 7 or 8 in the morning. So usually between like 5 and 6, I'm texting all my friends how much I love them and how much I respect them and support them. And then I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, that's a conversation I never meant to have."
Yeah.
Like that's about as embarrassing as it gets. I just get like really like affectionate towards people.
One time I texted an ex-girlfriend, "Hey, call me in the morning. We have something important to talk about." And I had
Oh god.
nothing.
You were
I was
like,
just
"Damn it."
like, I must have thought in my head, I was like, oh, this is gonna really get her thinking.
She's
And then
gonna come
like
back.
also thank God she never called me, but also like it bothered me that she never called me. And it's like after that you didn't even call me?
It was something important. I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And it's
So
yours, bitch.
yeah, and you're paying for this. I'm having this.
Or you're paying for the abortion. Okay. I want
We're
child support.
we are naming it Sean Patrick Flaherty. after the
Is
guy
that
from
an actor?
Boondock Saints. Yeah, it's the guy from
Oh,
Boondock
okay.
Saints.
I was gonna say that sounds familiar.
Yeah, Sean
I do
Patrick.
like that movie.
Boondock Saints. Yeah,
Hmm.
he was also in Powder, which is a movie I liked until I realized who the director was, and I was like, I can't like that movie anymore.
Polanski.
Oh no, Victor Salva. He's almost worse than
Really?
Polanski. Yeah,
Gross.
yeah, he is. But he actually at least went to prison. And like part of me, like there's like another part of me that's like, if somebody went to prison and served their time, they have every right to re-enter society and get a second chance. But
Yeah,
then
I
there's
think so too.
but then there's some crimes where it's like really hard to forget what they did. So
Well,
I
I
don't know.
mean, I think because I think I sent you the other article about the non-binary professor person who tried to change, like, was using the phrase child attracted adult or something instead of pedophile. Did I send you that one?
Yes, you did send me that one. And actually that one, yeah, okay, I remember it because
Minor attracted persons.
yeah, okay, yeah, I did read that one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it right now. I don't know why I can't find that article.
Um, like I
But
know there are programs in prison where child molesters get castrated.
chemically castrated, yeah, I know.
Yeah. And then they like get to come back out into society. And I think that's okay because I don't think that like I don't know, what are you going to do? Keep them in prison forever?
Okay, yeah, I found it.
Like if you've done your time, then I think you've paid your debt to society.
I agree.
I
Like
don't think you should be near children because it's obviously like a trigger for you, but
I don't think you should be near children for obviously that reason and safety and stuff like that. And so when you're doing a background check, there's like some people that like if a job says doing a background check, doesn't matter how qualified they are for that job. And I'm talking about generally general population criminals, offenders and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's
somebody who
really
like got
hard.
caught stealing from Walmart or something.
Well, yeah, like shoplifting, there's
Drug
like assault,
possession.
there's assault charges and stuff like that. And um even certain sexual offenders, like there's really weird laws where people seem to get really bad. There was a 19-year-old that was dating a 16-year-old and got like
Mm-hmm.
9 years in prison, like in hard state prison, like hard time state prison
Yeah.
for statutory rape. And if he did that in Colorado, it wouldn't have been illegal. If he did that in Texas, it wouldn't have been illegal. If he did that in the state that was only a half an hour away from like where the state that he was in, it wouldn't have been illegal. And
But okay, I don't know. I do think it's weird whenever people outside of high school date people in high school.
they were both in high school together. Is another
Okay.
thing. So
Well,
they
if
were,
they were were they together in high school?
I believe so. So what I understand about that is him and that girl knew each other for a while. They started dating. Um, and according to him, they had never had sex. Um, and so like whether or not that they had sex was like even had sex was up in the air.
Uh-huh.
But they met in high school. They knew each other. Um, but 9 years, and this kid's life was ruined.
Right.
His
Yeah,
family
I
just
mean, because there was a guy that I went to high school with. I think they're actually married now. Who he was a senior, and the girl that he was with was either like a sophomore or a freshman, and they stayed together until they got old enough, like their early 20s to get married. But that means that like she was a sophomore, and he was out like in the world like an adult, 18. But they had dated whenever they were both in high school still. And
yeah
to me, that's not as creepy.
yeah, and you may be looking at some sort of like sketchiness at some point, like when there's like a wide age gap. But yeah, like
But it was maybe 3 years,
I
and
think
they
3 years is
were
like where
together in
you're.
high school.
Yeah, I think 3 years is like more or less the cutoff. But yeah, like the rules
Yeah,
are
I
extremely
mean, I think
arbitrary.
it's different if it's like a college dude going to high school parties and trying to pick up those girls.
Yeah, and that's actually something that is actually kind of common in Odessa.
It's gross.
Yeah, there's guys that just go cruise that area, and yeah, it's yeah, there's a lot of sick dudes out there, but it's one of those things where are those guys what you're thinking of? Like when it's one of those things where does the punishment fit the crime, and does the criminal is the criminal that is on paper the criminal that you're actually looking at? Because
Right.
if like what you're trying to do is prosecute the guy that's like preying on these young girls
Right. And not
versus
this guy who happens
to
to
go to
have
the same
known this
school.
little girl for a little bit. Little
Yeah,
girl. That was not the right.
yeah, it's not the right thing, but yeah,
Someone who's closer to him in age. You know what I mean?
yeah. So, um, yeah. So that's
It's
one
a
that
yeah. I would say that's like a that seems like a miscarriage of justice, especially whenever I think there was a man in New York who admitted to raping 8 women, and all he got was like probation.
yeah, they're like, well, he pled guilty. He made it easy on that. Yeah,
That
there
is
are
a
these
miscarriage
weird
of
deals
justice.
that happen
Yeah.
with prosecutors and defenders and stuff like that, where they're like, that's all we could get. It's like, dude, you just didn't want to go to trial. You're
Right. You're
lazy.
just being lazy.
You didn't want to go to trial, and then they knew you didn't want to go to trial, so they held to their guns. They're like, oh, we'll do probation. Yeah, or it was
Garbage.
like he had a friend that's friends with one of your friends. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of miscarriages of justice.
What we're saying is this country is garbage.
Yeah, like you'll look at two similar crimes. One person goes to jail for 8 years. One person gets like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah,
You know,
garbage.
yeah. I have a friend that did 9 months in prison for a DUI, which I don't disagree with. Like he knew what he was doing. He's an adult. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
But then I dated a girl who had 3 DUIs. She assaulted a police officer one time. She
Jeez.
had a PI, and then I was hanging out with her, and I knew she had a DUI. What?
Generally a menace.
Yeah, she's generally a menace to society.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out with her one night, and I was like, "Who'd have thought I'd be hanging out with the felon?" And she's like, "Double felon." I was like, "Double felon," and she's like, "Oh, I had an attempted murder, but it was reduced to aggravated assault."
What?
And I was like, "What?" I was alone with her when she said that. I was
That's
like,
when you're like, my mom's calling me. I have to go.
"Yeah." So she had multiple DUIs, PIs, assaulted a cop, destroyed public property. She broke the window in the cop car, and
That's somebody who shouldn't drink anymore. She parties a little too hard.
yeah, well, she died, but she
How? Wait. How did
oh
she
yeah,
die?
she died.
Was she murdered?
No, she died in a car accident.
Oh.
It,
Because she
it's
was
it,
drunk or she was sober that time?
I actually don't know. I've asked a few different people, and I've gotten.
Well, her dying doesn't mean that she wasn't a menace to society
She was a huge menace to
at,
society.
at that point in her life.
Yeah, I actually used to tell stories about her, and now it's like really sad because like I always have to end it. Well, she's dead now. Like
She
it's
died.
I don't want.
And you're
I'm
like,
like it's hard to make
oh.
it funny anymore. Like it
What's
was.
that Morrissey quote? It's like it's from that song. I'm gonna look it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah.
Look it up.
She probably could have used some time in jail to like maybe get her act together, like realize, hey, this isn't fun and games. My lawyer or my rich uncle is not going to get me out of everything. Which, by the way, is I think like the big difference is like she had a rich
Yeah, the
uncle, but
money thing too.
yeah, like
That has a lot to do with it.
but
It's
her
death makes angels of us all and gives us wings where we had shoulders, smooth as raven's claws.
yeah, exactly. She was a menace, but now she's like an angel. But yeah, her and my buddy got DUIs about 6 months apart, same area, same everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say they actually had a similar lawyer. I think they had the same law firm representing them.
Okay, wait. So, but it was just a DUI, right? Like they didn't like get in a wreck and hurt anybody.
No, he didn't. No, he
Okay.
lived behind the bar, so
Uh
he
huh.
was driving from the bar across a very not busy road to his apartment
Mhm.
complex,
Mhm.
and he got caught, and it was a DUI, and he was well above the limit.
Mhm.
And his lawyer told him that they weren't going to give him anything, and then he got 6 months in prison. And her, same area, same everything. And by then it was
She's
her second
rich.
DUI, because her first DUI was before I met her. So by then it was her second DUI. Nothing happened to her. So yeah, no, it's rough, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, we definitely have a two-tier justice system, that's for sure.
Yeah, Chris Rock had a good joke where he's like it should be like Walmart. Like if you can find a shorter sentence, we'll match it. If you can find a shorter sentence with the same crime, we'll match it.
That
And
would be cool.
yeah, well, like at that point, like then you'd have murderers getting 5 years in prison and stuff like that. Like at that point, it would get weird. But I get where he's coming from on that. Shitty
I mean,
coworkers,
if it's for the same crime, sometimes it's not like,
exactly the same.
yeah, because if you're a murderer who just like, I don't know, there's not like any murder that's like okay.
Well, like
But if
okay,
you just killed one person kind of in a fit of rage, you should still go to jail. I don't
like
know.
say
I don't
like
want to
you
go.
and a
I don't want
dude
to go
get
there. That seems dangerous. But if you murder people and then torture them and it's like 18 people and you desecrated their graves and
yeah, and then like you were like I'm gonna do it again.
molest them, you shouldn't get the same, like you should definitely get way more time than somebody who just like, I don't know, accidentally hit somebody with their car.
Yeah, or got in a bar fight and like two
Yeah.
guys got in
Well,
like
it's
what
a
was like
bar fight,
relatively
you
a
know.
fair fight. One and just an accident happens, someone dies is not exactly the same thing as uh like
Stalking someone,
yeah.
hunting them down.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean like if it's consensual, like if you're consensually hunting somebody down, like you're like, hey, I'm gonna hunt you for $100,000. I'm gonna hunt you, but I will eat you too. Law of the jungle,
I
kill to
mean,
eat,
sure, you know, we're all about consent here on the um
comedically
comedically
correct.
correct podcast.
Yes. But yeah, like when yeah, like if I'm gonna hunt somebody, like as long as they're cool with it, like I'll tell them run.
Yeah.
If they run, that's them consenting to being hunted.
Uh I don't know. I don't know that I agree that far. We don't have to agree on everything.
No, we don't.
But do we want to do shitty coworkers?
Yeah, shitty coworkers. Would you like to go first?
Sure. So I used to work at this counseling center, and the lady who was kind of like technically my direct supervisor, um, like she taught me how to do the job and everything, but she taught me how to do the entire job to the point where I was basically doing like because that job that I had should have been split into two jobs. Like it was right that we both did it,
Mm-hmm.
but then it got to the point where I was doing more and more and more, and she was doing less and less. To the point where like after I moved to Lubbock from San Angelo, the like CFO of the company called me and said, "Hey, can you come back? Even just 3 days a week. We really need your help." Because I did was like I processed the insurance payments.
Mm-hmm.
So I would send in the claims and stuff to the insurance so that we could get money, and then I would send invoices to you know, clients that hadn't paid yet and bring the money in that way, and file secondary insurance, and you know, make sure that all the counselors were getting paid on time. And I guess that stopped happening after I stopped working there. But like I knew that was gonna happen, and I told them like a month ahead of time before I was gonna leave, like, hey, I'm leaving. You need to hire somebody else to do this because, and I was nice. I was like, you know, Tara can't do it by herself, which she couldn't, but she also wasn't doing it. Like I would be over there working like on hold with three different insurance companies, and she would just be over there like on Pinterest. And it was weird too. Like it was not an appropriate relationship because she wanted to be like cool, like she wanted to be like friends and stuff. So we would like talk like regular people, but then she wanted to separate me and the secretaries up front. Like she would get upset, like almost, I don't know if she was like jealous or what the deal was, but she would get upset when I would like talk to the secretaries up front and help them with stuff. Like, and I was friends with the girls at the front, and like we would hang out and stuff outside of work. But there was just like there was this age gap between me and her, and it wasn't very much. It's maybe like 8 to 10 years. that she is older than me. I'm definitely more mature than she is, which is something that mature people say all the time. But like she
Yeah.
had kids, like she had this whole thing, and it's like I couldn't really hang out with her as much as I could hang out with these other girls who just had like one kid.
Was she like one of those people that was kind of like class system at work where they're like, they're secretaries, they're below
Yeah,
us? Yeah,
that's how. But
I've
I was
met those
like,
type.
she's to me, the secretaries were at the same level that I was, because she would even tell me, she's like, I'm not going to give the girls up front, like, I'm not going to fight for them to get a raise, but I'm going to fight for you to get a raise. And I'd be like, well, I think we should all get raises because none of us get paid very much. And since we have more money coming in because I'm working so hard, we should all get raises. It's like, why should it go? Because then too, there was a time where she like, pretty much gave herself a raise, like doubling her monthly income. Because she didn't make very much more than I did when I first started there. And then like after a few months, once we got like all the finances kind of where they should have been, the CFO was like, okay, you guys can kind of decide, you know, who's going to get, like, as far as the hourly employees, who's going to get what kind of money. And so she decided to give herself like an extra, I don't know, $400 or $500 a month.
Dang, that would piss me off.
For less work. Because I knew I was doing all of her work. I knew that I was, because as soon as I left, I even had like other counselors and other people that I knew there that I worked with that were like, oh yeah, she got fired because they found out she wasn't working. I was like, oh, I could have told you that. Who do you think was doing, like, because it was to the point where she was my supervisor, right? So the counselors are supposed to technically ask her why they haven't gotten payment for something. But she would always tell them to ask me because she didn't actually know. Even though I would tell, like, I had a whole spreadsheet where I had like, okay, I have this session, it's this therapist, this client, this date. These are all the things that I've done to try to resolve the issue. And she had access to that spreadsheet, so she could have gone in and looked and been like, oh, it's because this and this. But she wouldn't. She would just tell them to ask me. And then there was a time that she like showed me a picture of one of her boyfriend's cock rings. And then she
like
gave me an
on or
edible
off?
at work.
Like
on. Like she showed me a
oh,
picture
dude.
of his penis.
You'd have to have a very special relationship with somebody.
Well, she thought that we did. I don't know. And I thought we were cool. Like I thought it was fine until she started going into this like classes thing where it's like you're separate from the secretaries. Like it's different. And I was like, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, that's odd.
She gave me an edible and I got too high and my roommate had to take me home. She
was kind of cool, kind of off.
Yeah, I mean, because it started off like she started off real cool, and then I don't know, like I honestly, part of me thinks that she was jealous of like my friendship with the secretaries, the other secretaries, because I would work secretary sometimes too. Like when the girls were at lunch, I would go up there and help, or if somebody didn't come in, I would go up there and do that. So that's why I felt like I was at the same level as them, because I did the same job sometimes.
Yeah, no, I always make sure I know. I let people know who's ahead of me and who's below me at all times.
I mean, I just don't
like I'm like Eddie Haskell. I'm like nice to the people above me, shitty to the people below me. There is seriously one time where I was really rude to one of the associates, and still to this day when I think about it, it bothers me. Like I think about like how shitty I was because it was in a bad.
Apologize?
I've apologized multiple times. Is this really cool guy? His name is Millie, and he's just a nice guy. He always had a smile on his face, and it was when I was in AP, so I was also in charge of safety. And this is me being a shitty coworker. This is an example of me being a shitty coworker, guys. I was putting on a fire extinguisher, and he was a cashier, and there was nobody there, so he just wandered over to me, like, just see what I was doing, and he's like, "What you doing there?" And just being nice and friendly. And I was like, "My job, like what you should be doing right now," for no reason. And
just because you were in a bad mood.
Just because it was in a bad mood, and I still feel shitty about that. Like I really do. Like
you apologize.
Like I apologized to him and I've like talked to him about it. Like I told him I was like, dude, you don't know how like shitty I feel about that, man. And I've actually bought him like I've randomly seen him out before and I bought him beer and shit. So yeah, but like I still feel shitty about that because like
Yeah, I
for
feel
like
like you
no
made up for it.
yeah, but like I don't know, it's just shitty.
Because
It
there are a
was
lot of people that don't like. They'll be like, "Oh, I don't care."
yeah, but like here's the thing, it's like sometimes like I'll wish that I said something rude, but usually I regret saying something rude afterwards.
Yeah.
Like one time like I had a really rude waitress, so I wrote a note on the thing.
Hmm.
Thanks for the she gave me a cold burger with like ice on the bun. And it was really expensive. It was at a bar called or it was at a restaurant called the
Ice.
Cannon. There was literally ice on the bun because they pulled the bun and then she put it in the toaster for like a second,
Uh huh.
and so there was still like a little sliver of ice on
Oh,
the
gross.
bun. And
Wait, but
the
what nice restaurant is serving frozen buns?
well, I don't
Are you
them.
talking about Wendy's?
No, it was not Wendy's. It was a place called the Cannon,
Okay.
and it was either in Houston or Austin. I don't remember. But it was the bar at it was the restaurant at the hotel, and it
Hmm.
was this cold burger, and I wanted her to heat it up because I really was hungry, and I was trying to find her, and I couldn't find her anywhere, so I was really upset, and everybody else was enjoying their food, having a good time, and this burger tasted horrible, um, like and just like and it's petty, it feels petty now, but at the time I was really upset, so I wrote a
Right.
note, and then like I was like felt shitty about it afterwards, so like I don't know. Like even my cousin like kind of told me he's like, dude, you really wrote that, and I was like, yeah, and he's like, that's kind
You
of
really
shitty.
didn't need to do that.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm also trying to get to the point where like I understand that people like if they have an attitude with me, it's probably not about me.
that's true. Like usually it has nothing to do with you. There was one time at Walmart,
Even if it
and
does have something to do with me, I'm like, this has nothing to do with me.
yeah,
I'm
there
not
was
responsible.
there was one time at Walmart where a guy there's a lot of incidents at Walmart where I had really rude customers that were rude for no reason, and some of those I wish I said more things to him,
Hmm.
but so it was like one of my first times on a cash register, and I had a really long line. Like in the evening before the night crew gets there, all the day shift people leave, but the night
Hmm.
shift people aren't there yet, and every day it's a problem. And no managers has been like, hey, why don't we just start having like our night shift come in like an hour earlier or whatever?
Right.
Like nobody's figured that out. Like they're not.
Nobody's solving the problem.
Yeah. So every day, like that same time, your thing went off.
I know, but you can still hear me, right?
All right. Yeah. But anyway,
Good.
so so they asked me, and this was like right after I learned how to be on the register for electronics. They asked me to get on the register that evening, so I was like, yeah, sure. And the credit card machine broke on that register, so I had to
Hmm.
manually key in all those things. Meanwhile, like being really new on the register and not knowing exactly how to do everything.
Yeah.
And so this guy, he was upset about how long he had to wait, which wasn't exactly my fault for a few different reasons. Credit
That's
card
also not
machine,
a big deal.
yeah. And all he had was one item. So he's like, so he threw the item at me, and then he's like, and he throws the money at me too, and he's like, don't even give me the change. He's like, don't even give me the change. I don't want that 14 cents or whatever, right? And then I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm sorry about the wait, sir. And he's like, don't fucking say another word to me, or I'm gonna come around there and slap the shit out of you. So
Jesus, unnecessary.
I was like, okay. And then I was like, and I handed him the thing, and I handed him his thing and his money back, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be able to check you out. I hope you're nicer to the next cashier. And he's like, are you fucking serious? And then I just started
Yeah.
checking out, and then I canceled his thing, and I started checking out the next person. And then he's like, call your fucking manager. I was like, the manager's right over there if you want to go talk to him. And then it was a manager, and her name was Esther, and she was the coolest manager, one of the coolest managers I've had. And then so she came over there and she walked over to me, and then she told him to go wait at a register and that she was going to check him out personally. And then she asked me what happened. I was like, he said he was going to slap the shit out of me because I was talking to him. I didn't say anything to him because he was mad about the wait. And then so she went over to him, and I could hear her asking. She's like, did you say that you were going to slap or assault my cashier? And he's like, he was fucking taking forever and he was talking shit. And I was not talking shit to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, no, you don't. She's like, you don't threaten my staff. And she kicked him out. And he threw like, I think it was cough
Nice.
syrup, like all the way. He threw it across the thing and it opened and it exploded. And she's like, we're calling the cops now. But yeah, yeah.
Good. That's a good manager.
Oh yeah, no, like I was really happy, but like most of my managers did not get my back. I had a lot of managers that were like I would say stuff that was just policy. Like there was this like little spoiled rich kid from Midland, by the way. Midland, they think they're rich. A lot of
Yeah, they
people.
think somehow that they're like classier than people from Odessa, and it's like,
Yeah.
no.
Sometimes you'll meet people that come in from like Midland and they're like, "Oh, well, we're from Midland." Like they say it like it means something.
Right? Like it's so far away, like they don't understand.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, shoot, you're from the Emerald City?" Oh shit. So, he came in and there was like it was an Indian man with his I believe granddaughter, tiny little baby. And he was checking out electronics, and I don't really like it when like people have like a ton of stuff and they want to check out electronics. But I was like checking him out, and I was already like I already started with him. And so this kid comes behind and he's like, "Hey, can I cut him? Because I only have like two things." And I was like, "No, that's not how this works." He's like,
Right.
"Really? You're gonna let him go ahead of me because I only have two things?" And I was like, "Yeah, man.
You got here
Like
first.
he was here first. That's how it works."
Mm-hmm.
And then so he gets like up like really close to the guy, and then he starts like hitting the thing, and he's just like, and I was like, "Hey man, like you really can't be throwing a temper tantrum here right now." And he's like, "You fucking work at Walmart," and I was like, "What the fuck is that supposed to be?" And it was just this
You're
thing,
fucking shopping at Walmart, bro. That's
and then and then he just started periodically coming in to harass me, and my managers would not back me up. I was like, "This guy needs to leave. He keeps on fucking harassing me." And they're like, what did he say to you? Did he threaten you or anything like that? And I was like, no, he just comes in and keeps talking shit. And he was doing it for a while. And then he came in with his girlfriend. And then like he was like he kind of gave me this look like, hey, check out my hot girlfriend. Like, and I was like, that's awesome. And then one time, like, he came in with a friend and they were buying alcohol. And I told him that I needed to see both their IDs. And then he's like, I'm going to talk to the manager again about you. And he's like, hope you enjoyed your job. And like a manager never came and talked to me about it. I don't think that he was old enough to buy the beer. So I don't think he talked to my manager at all. But yeah, my manager's never backed me up with that little fucking shit.
that sucks.
Yeah, he asked my manager to ask me to apologize to him for not letting him cut in line,
Mm-hmm.
and my manager actually asked me to apologize to him. She's
Did
like,
you
it would
apologize
solve.
to him?
Yeah, she's like, it would just solve the problem if you apologize to him. I was like, there's no way I'm apologizing to him. I was like, do you think that I was wrong? And then she's like, no, I don't think you were wrong. She's like, you know the policy. And I was like, why do you want me to apologize? And she's like, it would just help the situation go faster. And I was like, no, fuck you. Make him leave. Don't let him buy anything and make him leave.
Whose side are you on?
I was like, I was like, he freaked me out. He freaked out the old man with the baby. Like he punched the cash register. Make him leave.
So Walmart's nothing like working at Olive Garden, because at Olive Garden, when you're here, your family.
Oh yeah,
At Walmart, you're on your own.
yeah. Go fuck yourself. I don't know. I had some managers back me up, but like for the most part, I don't know. But yeah, but I had a coworker who threw a temper tantrum. Like I was trying to. She was already trained as an AP, but she didn't know what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And her first week working there, she was really professional, and I was like really excited. I was like, oh sweet, she's professional. It's gonna be great working with her. She didn't do one piece of paperwork the entire time she worked there. And I showed her how to do paperwork, right? So like I
Okay,
showed her how
what
to
was
key
the
in.
point? What's the point of you being here?
Yeah. She didn't do any work the entire time. She didn't catch one shoplifter on her own. The one time I caught a shoplifter for her because she needed 3 qualifiers, right? So she could catch them on their own. She was already trained. So I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
training her. She had to catch them on her own. I just had to witness her catching them. So she didn't get any bad stops. And
Yeah.
she kept on pointing out people and she's like, I think they have something. And I was like, you don't know? And I was like, you need to know. Like, we're not going to stop
Yeah, you
them.
have to make sure.
Yeah.
There's no stop and frisk policy at the Walmart.
yeah, I can't. And she's like, well, she has a big purse. And I was like, that doesn't mean anything. And she's like, well, she was in electronics earlier. And I was like, you need to see her grab something off the shelf and put it in her purse or on her person and then leave with it for us to, and then for us to be able to stop her. Like,
Right.
you need to have all that. And then, like, she never knew what she was doing. She constantly got caught by, like, people that she was following would constantly catch her. Like, she was just really horrible. And then
Yeah.
because she was super obvious too, so I was trying to help her out. There was a guy that I had caught shoplifting previously in the store.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, if you want, watch this guy. I caught him
He'll
shoplifting
steal
before.
something.
Yeah, so maybe he'll steal something again. You know, it's a good person to watch. Like, they already stole something.
That makes sense.
And so before somebody's like you can get down and kind of like crouch and hide and follow people, but before they actually steal something,
So creepy.
yeah,
That's such
there's
a
there's pictures of me where I look like a complete creeper.
because you're just stalking somebody, hoping that they steal something so you can catch them like a fucking cop. You're setting them up for failure.
I'm not setting them up. I'm just witnessing them do a crime,
I
and
think
then
if I worked at if I worked at another like large, like a big box retail store like that, I would just be like, I would encourage people to steal.
I don't care as much now that they're not paying me to catch them. But yeah, like it's still like kind of like it's I would say a hobby. Just
Also, I would
see.
say that probably the employees steal way more than the people that shop there.
I don't know. Like I've caught a couple of good internals, but I would say that it's I don't know. It's close, but nah. I would say the external theft is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Um,
I just say that because if I worked there, I would definitely steal from there, like I did from Walgreens all the time.
I got a couple of associates shop. It sucks when it's like somebody that you kind of like. There was one girl that I liked, and I was like, I feel really bad. And then like the second I realized that it was like kind of a friend of mine, I was like, someone else should take this. And then there was like a small part of me that was like, I should.
And she might not go out with me if I catch her for stealing.
Oh no, it wasn't like that. It was just I thought she was a good person, like a nice
Okay.
person. But so
Oh my god.
so anyway, this particular AP, I say AP loosely because she never caught a shoplifter.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her to watch this guy. So she crouches in the middle of the action alley, the big alley, and starts like watching him like this. And I was like, you don't have to be that obvious. And then she starts throwing a temper tantrum. I'm serious, like yelling at me on the floor. And I was like, whoa, calm down. And then she's like, you don't have to act like you're right about everything. And she was referring to a conversation we had earlier where she said that that Star Wars came out in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, it came out in the 70s. And she's like, no, it came out in the 80s. She's like, I was an 80s kid. I know. I watched it in the 80s. And I was like, I'm not saying you didn't watch it in the 80s. I'm saying it came out in the 70s. And she's like, no. And so I looked it up on my phone and showed her it came out in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, you don't have to act like you know everything. And I was like, I'm not. I'm just saying. And then like I was like, all right, whatever. I can't talk to her right now because she just kept on like doing and saying like weird shit like that. And the way that she always, but anyway. And then so I see this guy and I was like, you can follow him. He might shoplift because he's shoplifted before. And so she starts crouching and I was like, you don't have to be that obvious. She throws a temper tantrum. People are seriously staring at us. This is how bad of a temper tantrum she's throwing. She's actually yelling at me. And so I was like, I'm not
In the
working
middle
with
of
her.
the store.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not working with her anymore. She never does any of the paperwork. She's making more work for me. I don't want to work with her anymore. And then she called our boss before I called our boss. And then she blamed her diabetes for her being upset. She's like, you don't know what it's like to have diabetes.
That's like that story that we did a few months back where that he was like a baseball announcer or something, and he was like, oh yeah, I said the N-word because I'm diabetic.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like, that makes more sense. Like,
It's funny.
but yeah,
I'm
like,
just gonna start blaming my low blood sugar on everything. Sorry, I'm a bad driver. I'm hypoglycemic.
yeah, me too. I'm sorry about all the racist content on my Twitter feed. It's
Sorry, I
it's
didn't
because I have
flush
a
the
hangnail.
toilet. I'm hypoglycemic.
Yeah. Sorry, I I discharge my weapon towards that crowd of people. It's my asthma. So anyway, so she blamed her diabetes, and then she told a completely different story to our manager, and I was like, no, this is what happened. And he believed me because like I'd worked there longer, and like he'd known that like I wasn't making shit up. And she also, and I don't even know what she said, but then she also told him that I was just letting people steal all day, and that she was catching shoplifters. That I would say no, let him go. And I was like, no, she didn't know whether or not if she didn't even know what they had.
Yeah.
Like she had no idea what they were doing. But she was like telling him that like I was just letting people go all the time, and I was like, no, she's the one that needs to have this stuff. I'm not gonna go in and try to stop somebody and maybe get accused of kidnapping or like whatever and get sued and
Right.
fired over her being I think they might have stolen something.
Right.
So she was like telling him all sorts of like stupid shit like that. And then she told everybody that she's just a shitty person. Like she would also talk about her kids in like the meanest way. Like she didn't even like them. But anyway, that's neither here nor what?
She's a bad person.
Yeah, she was just a bad person. And then she met a guy online.
But she's dead now.
No, nah. Don't give me hope. But yeah, she she met a guy online, and I remember telling her because she was like she wouldn't shut up. Like she would just drone on for hours. And she was saying that she met this guy online and she was going to quit and go live with him, and he lived in San Antonio or whatever. And I was like, that doesn't sound like a good idea. And she's like, I'm an adult woman, I know what I'm doing. And then she tried to do that, it fell through, and then she came and tried to get her job back, and they're like, nah, nobody wants you.
No, you suck.
Yeah. And that's not the end that's where I'll end the story, because like the story gets worse, but I can't tell the rest of the story.
Leave it on a cliffhanger.
Well, yeah, I'll leave it on a cliffhanger. Maybe one day I'll tell the full story of this particular horrible
For
hurt.
our Patreon episodes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But yeah, she was yeah, and the one time I actually gave her, like, she was with me when I caught a shoplifter, and I was like, hey, I tell you what, you can key this one in as yours if you want. She never keyed it in, so I had to key it in late, and I got in trouble for keying it in late. And then
you were trying to help her.
Yeah, and then she was going around telling people that we were just trying to get, like, me and my boss were just trying to get her to do all our work. And I was like, well, we're apparently not doing a good job because she hasn't done anything. But yeah, it was the worst. She's by
I wish
far
I could
the
do
worst.
all your work, because guess what your work is? Nothing. Doing
Yeah.
nothing.
So I was like, you leave and I'll take over your stuff for you.
Yeah, it's fine.
But
moral of the story: quit your job.
yeah, quit your job, live
Work
on the
for
government.
yourself. Or do that too.
I would like to do that, except for I don't have any discernible sources of income. I don't have any talent.
Oh, I was gonna say, aren't you to be an entrepreneur? I was gonna say, aren't you on disability right now?
So yeah, and as long as that lasts.
My tax dollars are paying for that.
Yeah.
Deadpool mask.
Well, my brother actually got that. Your tax dollars did buy this, though.
Nice. I support that. If there was like, I wish you could do like a pie chart of the things you want your taxes to pay for. And if one of them was like gremlin figurines, I'd be like, yes, check. No money to the military, all money to gremlin figurines. That's the real problem with our country, is that our taxes aren't going to useful things that really benefit American lives, like gremlin figurines.
Yeah, they're going to trillions and trillions of dollars to assert dominance in oil-filled countries.
When they could just be buying gremlin figurines.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, there's less controversial things that have happened over this.
Right. Nobody's died. Actually, did the gremlins kill anybody in the movie?
Yeah, a couple of people.
Damn it. Only 2 people have ever there's only 2 gremlin-related deaths in the history of the world, and there are probably millions of oil field-related deaths.
Yeah, probably
At
more than
least hundreds of thousands.
probably in the millions.
Yeah.
Probably. Like the ones we hear about, the ones we don't hear about, the
Right.
ones that are like trickle down things, like all of a sudden like a country starves because we did something somewhere.
Oh
But
yeah.
geopolitical politics is something where I'm like, I care about it, but like, can I just like, can somebody,
What can you do?
like, I want somebody that I know and trust to just tell me what the right answer is, and then like I'll agree with them. I don't want to know all the information because it's too
Yeah.
confusing.
It's too much.
Like I remember like somebody was trying to explain Siberia to me, and I was like, yeah, no. Like I checked out.
I can't do this.
Yeah, I was like, I tried. I really tried to. I really tried to understand the conflict in the Middle East, and I don't.
No.
I was like, wait a minute, was that was Russia this time, or is it us? Oh no, it wasn't Russia. It was the USSR. Okay, what's the difference? Okay, now never mind. Never mind. I don't want to know anymore. Like the more I know, the less I know. Like at first I was like, something bad happened. That's enough.
Like I know everything about the situation, and then you actually start reading about it, and you're like, I don't know any of this shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I just
'Cause-
don't remember. Like I don't remember names and dates and shit. I'm just like, I don't know what's happening over there. I know it's bad. I read about it, and that's how I know.
yeah, and I know it's partially our fault, but I also know that we tried to fix things, but I also know we didn't do a good job.
No.
Yeah. And I think they made a Tom Hanks movie about part of it, but you know, I didn't understand that movie either. Like Tom Hanks is funny, and I was like, hey, that's the guy from Bosom Buddies, and then I just checked out for the rest of the movie. So
You're like, man, I'd rather watch Bosom Buddies.
yeah, like John Oliver actually covers Syria really good. If you guys are interested in the conflict in Syria or whatever, with like Assad and all that shit, he covers it really, really well. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not gonna remember any of this. Like later on, I'm gonna be like, I really understand this conflict, and they're like, oh yeah, what happened? I'm like, ah, shit, I can't tell
You
you.
didn't ask me, I would have known.
Yeah, it's like I knew about it, and then you want me to tell you, and I was like, well, there was a guy, and then there's ISIS, and then there's some free rebels, and I think that we were backing them, but we also gave money to the Assad, even though he was fighting the rebels, which were also on our side. And then the ISIS was fighting him, so we were like, you're cool, but then we're like, no. And then they
ISIS's evil twin brother, ISIS K,
yeah,
out of nowhere.
yeah, and I think ISIS K might, I'm gonna be honest, ISIS K might be a K-pop band.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like ISIS.
That's the theme of this podcast. We don't know anything.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't get the news from us. You should get opinions
Get
from
any information from us. You should just get, personal stories, amusing anecdotes,
yes,
puns.
because we do tell a lot of punny jokes.
I'm sure we probably do. I actually don't know. See, that's how much I don't know. I don't even know what we're doing now.
No. Yeah, like what would you love to find at a yard sale?
A Selena record.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That
You
has
like people
mine
named
now.
Selena, I noticed.
I do. Yeah. I'm wearing a shirt, actually.
Yeah, I noticed.
I'm just obsessed with my own name. That's all that is. It's just pushing my own self-obsession out to other people that share my name.
You're not the only person with your exact name that I know.
I know. There's a bunch of people. It's a very common name.
Yeah. Especially in your age group.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of 90s girls, Mexicans, I feel like especially Texans.
Yeah. Selena was
like,
particularly big in
5,000
Texas.
Selena Marie Martinez on Facebook.
Oh yeah. It must be really hard for you to get an email address.
Yeah.
There's not very many Andrew Capens, but there is one. And
Well, you have to fight him for dominance.
yeah. That's I know his email because I accidentally accidentally
Remember?
set up something with his email. Like he had Andrew Capon, so I was like, I'll get Andrew S. Capon.
Mhm.
And then I forgot that I had to put the S in there. And then so when I was setting up something with my new email address about Andrew Capon, and then I sent all the verification information to his email. So I signed him up for a bunch of things.
Yep. He's watching your Pornhub premium account right now
Yeah, and I'm gonna let him keep it.
and enjoying your HelloFresh subscription.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him keep those too, because
Not sponsored, by the way. We're not sponsored by HelloFresh.
or
Yeah.
Pornhub. I mean, like personally, a little bit by me, but not really.
I contribute nothing to this. I'm here.
We will one day we'll get a sponsor, I'm sure. I
God willing, you know.
God willing. Okay, well, what else was I gonna talk about?
I don't know.
How much time do you have? You're about ready to go?
Yeah, I didn't eat very much earlier because I went to
All right.
go give snacks to the homeless people. So I just had like a quick bowl of cereal, and I'm just now realizing how hungry I am.
Yeah, no, I feel like your energy has dropped like this last like 5 minutes.
I'm just like, oh, hungry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. All right, I'll tell you what. It's the last
It's
question,
okay.
and then we'll go.
Okay.
What's the hardest thing you've ever done?
I don't know. I don't do very many difficult things. I guess like coming out was kind of scary
Oh yeah.
because I didn't know, like, and I did lose some people in my life because of it,
Oh.
kind of. Like I was supposed to be studying to be a Jehovah Witness, and then like it's not, you can't like be a gay Jehovah Witness. I mean, you can be gay, but you can't be like out, and you can't like be in relationships and stuff. So that was hard. And then it's just like it's scary because you don't know how people are going to react. It wasn't horrible. Like honestly, I probably had an easier time than most people, but that I think was probably the most difficult decision that I had to make, I guess, was to embrace it instead of pretending like pretending that I wasn't gay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that I don't know how I would deal with if I had like something that was like, you know, not considered generally normal. Not saying that that's weird, just like you had to like tell your family about it. I don't know how
Yeah.
I'd have to do it. Like,
What about you? What's the hardest thing you've done?
see, I was gonna go for a funny answer, but after you gave that answer, now I feel weird about it. I was
Well, I don't know. My funny answer was like I don't generally do things that are difficult because I'm like, that's too hard.
one time I ate a micro machine and I had to pass it. That was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
That's legitimate. That's a physical pain
Yeah,
that works. I think that's good.
yeah,
That's a
and
good answer.
yeah, like I tried learning to play the guitar. That was really hard, but I also didn't learn to play the guitar, so I don't know if that counts
That's too
as
hard.
doing it. Can you play the guitar?
Yeah, not like well.
I want to.
I don't play often enough. I used to a lot more when I was younger, but I haven't. I guess over the past few years, I haven't really.
You have 4 or 5 guitars.
Uh-huh.
I don't think because I've never seen you play. I've only seen you talk in public.
I mean, most people don't see me. I don't like. I just played guitar because I don't know. I think it's just like a thing that all young lesbians do. Because my wife also like two of these are my wife's guitars. Well, three of them actually. That one with my black finger. All of them, but the blue one belong to my wife.
And the
Um, and she plays less than I do.
oh,
But
so,
it's just I don't know. I picked it up when I was younger and I used to play a lot, and then I guess like I started doing comedy, I got a cell phone, I got distracted, I stopped
oh yeah,
playing. Plus I would get frustrated because it is difficult
yeah,
and I have tiny fingers, so sometimes I can't like it's harder for me to do like some of the chords and the like trying to do like a bar chord where I have to hold my tiny finger across all of the frets. It's difficult.
I know. I I always wanted to learn to play the guitar, but if I was musically gifted at all, I wouldn't try comedy, because like comedy is what I do to impress women.
No,
And
comedy is what, like, the reason I do comedy is because doing music is too hard. Like, I could do music. I played flute in high school and stuff. Like, I have good pitch. Um, I have like rhythm. I can do it. It's just a lot more difficult than talking.
oh yeah, comedy is way easier to do
Yeah.
than that. But like
Plus,
if I could play the
I have a
guitar at
feeling
all,
that like most, yeah, I have a feeling that most comedians, the only reason we're comedians is because we can't be musicians.
yeah, because if I could, I would any day of the week.
Yeah.
Like first off, like just being able to play the guitar or be a lead singer of the band, like you don't even have to like try with women. Women come to you, and I don't know why that's true.
I mean, I
Like
didn't get into it for like women. I just get into it because I need attention, but that's different.
yeah,
I guess,
well
I mean, I guess it's kind of the same. I
yeah,
just don't need it specifically from a group of people. I need it from everyone all the time.
yeah. My mom wants a daughter-in-law really bad, but she keeps on like saying not daughter-in-law material when I'm talking about like groupies. I was like, if I learned how to play the guitar, and then somebody's like, what about comedy groupies? And I was like, what level of comedy do you think I'm at that I have comedy groupies? Those aren't a
Right?
thing. It's like when you're super famous, you have like, oh, that guy's super famous, like groupies, I guess.
Yeah. They're called chuckle fuckers.
Yeah, and also I wouldn't feel comfortable in those relationships either. I was like, that'd be weird. But yeah, like I don't even care. Like I've gone to places and straight killed, and still like you still like the
Nobody
girls are like,
cares.
yeah, they're like, oh, you were funny, and I was like, oh yeah.
You're funny.
They're like, I was like, yeah, can I buy you a drink? And they're like, no, you're gross. Nah.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
one of my jokes was you could call the comedy table like the singles table, and it wouldn't change anything about this table at all.
Yeah.
Like all the single guys, like if they had girlfriends, they wouldn't be here every other night trying to do comedy.
Right? If they had something more valuable to do with their time.
Yeah, which is why I'm glad that I haven't had a girlfriend in a while, because like it's been able, I've gotten better as a comedian not having a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, women are distracting, and you
I
know that.
mean, I don't know. I'm married. I don't find it a distraction.
Well,
Well, I mean, there have been times where I'm like, I can't hang out tonight because I'm doing something with Kelsey, but it's not like I don't. I don't know. Maybe I should get a divorce and see if I feel differently.
well,
I get a divorce and then suddenly I have a Netflix special. That's what
like there's like a lot of comedy that
is
comes out
holding
of
me back.
breakups. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying
Yeah,
is
but I
like,
think there's also a lot of comedy that comes out of relationships too.
yeah, well, a lot of my comedy does come with like a lot of my comedy is just like stupid things that I think of, but a lot of my comedy does come out of like frustration with women and like frustration with relationships. Like
You
I
have no game.
sometimes I used to have a lot more game. I don't know, like I don't know. As I got older, like I started like not enjoying my own bullshit, and that's hurt my game. Like
Well,
the
that's probably a good thing.
like the bullshit that you do to get girls when you're younger, like you just start getting annoyed with. You're like, fuck this dude. Like, what's up, girl? Like you're like, fuck that guy. I don't want to talk to that guy. And you're like, that's you. And you're like, yeah, that's fuck him. So yeah, that's my
On that
thought.
note, though,
Yeah,
I'm
you
very
gotta get
hungry.
to your thing.
I really have to go.
All right.
I genuinely do have low blood sugar,
I'm
so I'm
sorry.
becoming
Now this is
enraged.
becoming a medical thing. I'm sorry.
It's
Uh,
okay.
I've been holding you too long. Don't feed Selena or this guy after midnight. And my name is Andrew Holiday,
My name is Selena.
and this has been Comedically Correct. We are sorry for wasting your time. Thank you and have a great day.